So good, good morning, everyone. We're going to start with the opening recitations. Dala dhamma jebe dra nobar jebe ge tarpa dan tamje kembe bardu chopra jeba tam jege su jebe ma nang ka dang nyambe senjen tamje dewa dhan den dung yao dang zhe ne du la na me pa yang da pra zo pe chang ju ren po je to para je na la dhamma jebe dra no par jebe ge tarpa dang tam je gembe bardu chopra jeba tam jege su jebe ma nang ka dang nyam pe senjen tam che dewa dan den dung yao dang zhe ne du la na me pa yang da pra zo pe chan ju ren po je to pra ja da la dhamma je pe trai no par je pe ge tar pa da tam je gen pe bar du chom pra je pa tam je ge so je pe ma nang ka dang nyam pe sen che tam che dewa dan den dung yao dan zhe ne du la na me pa yang da pra so pe chan ju ren po je to pra je de je de sama genki bardu lunga yisum ge wala go ma shi bardu lunga yisum ge wala go du de ring ne sung de ne ma sang ta sam gi bardu lunga yisum ge wala go san je chodan so gi chonam la chanjo bardu dhani kyam se chi da ge jin so ge pe sonang ki jola pencher san je du pra shu san je chodan so gi chonam la chanjo bardu dhani kyam se chi da ge jin so ge pe sonang ki jola pencher san je du pra shu Sanje chodan soge chonam la chanchu bardu dhani kyapsu chi dagi jinsu gipe sonang ki drola penchir sanje drumbra shu manang kadang nyampe senchen tamche dewa dang dewe gindan dembra girji dung yao dang dung yao gi gyu dang drawa girji dung yao me pe dewa dang me drawa girji ne ring cha dang ni dang drawe tang nyang la ne bra girji ma nang ka dang nyam pe sen chen tam che dewa dang dewe gyun dang dembra girji dung yao dang dung yao gi gyu dang drawa girji dung yao me pe dewa dang me drawa girji ne ring cha dang ni dang drawe tang nyong la ne bra girji ma nang ka dang nyam pe sen chen tam che dewa dang dewe gyun dang dembra girji dung yao dang dung yao gi gyu dang drawa girji dung yao me pe dewa dang me drawa girji ne ring cha dang ni dang drawe tang nyong la ne bra girji. Just take a few moments and let body and mind settle in their own places, settling evenly. and settling in a clear way with presence, with presence of mind, with body and mind together. In all the worlds of the 10 directions reside Tathagatas of the 3 times. Before each of you, lions among humans, I prostrate joyfully with body, speech, and mind. By the power of this aspiration to noble deeds, all conquerors appear vividly in my mind. With as many bodies as there are atoms in all lands, I prostrate to all you conquerors. In each atom are Buddhas numberless as atoms, all in the midst of the heirs of the Buddhas. Thus I conceive of this Dharma Dhatu as completely filled with you conquerors in this way, with infinite oceans of praise and oceans of diverse melodies. I sing the excellent qualities of all you conquerors, and praise all of you gone to bliss. With the best flowers and best garlands, best music, ointments, and excellent parasols, finest lamps and superior incense I offer to you conquerors. With excellent garments and best fragrances, and sandalwood powder heap high as Mount Meru. All wondrous offerings perfectly arranged I offer to you conquerors. These vast and unequal offerings to each and every one of you conquerors. With the power of conviction in noble deeds, I prostrate and offer to all you conquerors. All the harmful deeds that I have done with my body, speech, and mind, under the power of desire, hatred, and ignorance, I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in all the meritorious deeds of all conquerors in the 10 directions, and the heirs of the Buddha solitary realizers, hearers still in training and beyond, and all wandering beings. You who are lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who have unobstructedly attained Buddhahood through the stages of Bodhi. All you who are my protectors, please turn the unexhaled wheel of Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly beseech you who may intend to manifest final nirvana. Please remain for as many eons as there are atoms in the world, for the happiness and well-being of all wandering beings. Whatever slight virtue that may have been gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I now dedicate to complete Bodhi. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To the Gurus who possess the three kayas, I offer the outer, inner, secret, and thusness offerings. With my body, wealth, and all phenomenal existence, please grant the unsurpassed supreme attainment. Whatever slight virtue I may have gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, are now dedicated to complete Bodhi. Om Guru Deva Dhakini Ratnamandala Praticha Soha. Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater, lesser, and common vehicles in accordance with the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings. Durji Chanchen Tili Naro Dhamma Mida Popa Durji Dengun Kandin Sundin Sawe Lama Shasa Lama Yidam Chokyong La Soba Devso Danjin Jinji Lo Engiam Rengin Tome Sam Lengen Rabentun Son Yong La Kien Somen Kyo Wan Doji Champa Ji Dengun Pashab La Du Ta Du Sam Yu Kyo Le Me Jin Jin Lo Shi Du Jin Jin Nenge Mu Bese Negen Sim De De Du Do Brahme Jin Lo Hong Wo Jin Yu Jin Jasam Pe Ma Ki Sa Tumbo La Yasen Choking Gondun Ye Pema Jun Ne Shi Shu Da Gondun Ganda Ma Pung Kong Ke Gen Je Se Da De Ge Jin Jin Lo Je Shi Su Song Guru Pema Se De Hong Ngo Min Choking Ye Ki Bo Dan Ne De Sun San Jin Kun Jin Ngo Wo Ni Ran Sen Choking Yo Sun Tuan Se Pa Sa We La Me Shab La So Wa De. So good morning, everyone, and good evening. So we continue in chapter 8, the chapter on Samadhi. So in the last section that we cover, Khenpo Kumpel identifies that section as Shantideva showing to us the qualities of solitude, the qualities of being alone not just in that literal sense of physically being alone, but rather, right, to be undisturbed by our conditions. And to be undisturbed by our conditions, especially at the beginning, it's a lot easier if we are actually in a place where we have a chance to succeed, gaining some serenity or peace and not be bombarded by the usual demands. So often the instructions will say, go to a forest, go to the foot of a tree, go to an abandoned house. These days, basically, go to a place where there's no internet connectivity. Unfortunate for me, I think it was the second time, maybe the third time, maybe second time, when I was climbing to Tiger's Nest in Bhutan. Some of you might have seen images of this. Really striking temple built onto this cliff in Bhutan, the place where it is said that Guru Rinpoche came. And so this tiger's nest, or this tiger's lair, almost arriving there, taking the phone out to take pictures. And then I see there is 4 bars here, more than in my house in West Asheville, So even at tiger's nest, there's no solitude. But when we can find, the circumstances, the conditions for this solitude, it will really help us to train in a more stable and less easily influenced mind, heart. Basically, that's the purpose of this solitude here. Because otherwise, we get easily distracted. And as we will see, it is not just a matter of physically removing ourselves from conditions or situations where we get distracted, where we get pulled left and right and up and down and, sideways, long ways, short ways. Yeah? Fundamentally, it is the giving up of the 8 worldly concerns. So the determination to give up the 8 worldly concerns, that determination has to be there. If that determination is not there, even if we're physically removed from others, even if we launch ourselves out to outer space where there's nobody else, the kind of solitude that Shantideva is praising, the kind of solitude that Shantideva says is necessary in order to achieve Samadhi, is not possible. So even more basic then, needing to go into the forest, needing to go into the foot of a tree, an abandoned house, needing to go into no signals area is secondary to first or more basic level working on not letting the 8 worldly concerns have so much power over us. So solitude here covers a much broader area. And this solitude is necessary again, right, to achieve this Samadhi. And this Samadhi, depending on how you look at it, from which angle, you can say it is this, it is this, it is this, it is this. But so on verse number 4 of this chapter, Shantideva, if you remember there, it says, penetrative insight joined with calm abiding utterly eradicates the afflicted states, the mental defilements. So that's shamatha and vipassana. So there he says, it is about finding solitude, appreciating solitude, so that shamatha and vipassana can be fully developed and developed together. And so shamatha and vipassana, although, sometimes Some of you may, have learned these terms. And sometimes even you get the impression that shamatha and vipassana are two sets of techniques. Here Shantideva doesn't use it this way. It's not two sets of techniques. In fact, there are two qualities of mind, of heart, that we have to cultivate, which is what I've been emphasizing. That in brief, shamatha, you can say, is a stable, even, unmoving mind. Then this stable, even, unmoving mind has presence. Presence, or poetically, it says clarity, brightness, radiance. Then this presence allows us to see things clearly, to see things as they are, rather than the way they appear to be. Later on, in this chapter, Shantideva will then talk about the content of Samadhi that is particular to this text, which is the training in Bodhichitta. So when he talks about the training in Bodhichitta, it's not like he's talking about something separate from shamatha and vipassana. It's just another angle, a different angle looking at the same thing. So I want to read you an excerpt that I just shared on Facebook from the Great Drigong Teachings to the Assembly. Jigten Sumgun taught this. And here you can see how shamatha and vipassana, right, is explained via the perspective of Vajrayana, specifically this thing called the fourth empowerment in the Vajrayana context. And without going into the details, of the fourth empowerment, basically, Functionally, the fourth empowerment is like the final empowerment, whereby the teacher facilitates in the students directly seeing the nature of reality. Not attaining enlightenment per se, but directly seeing the nature of reality, and then on that basis, training to fully actualize that. So the quote here says, without being introduced to the meaning of the fourth empowerment, it is difficult to obtain empowerment. It is with the introduction to the meaning of the fourth empowerment that empowerment is completely conferred, completely received. The meaning of the fourth empowerment is a meditative absorption of calm abiding and insight, shamatha and vipassana. In order to arouse it, meaning this calm abiding and insight conjoined, in order to arouse it in the mind stream, first the meditative absorption of calm abiding must be developed. Yeah, you can see that Kyoba Rinpoche is exactly, talking about this exactly the same way as Shantideva. Yeah, for Shantideva, it's here cultivating bodhicitta. Is the vocabulary used. For Jigten Sumden, in this context of this quote, it's fourth empowerment. And then he goes on to say, he says, now about this, meaning about cultivating calm abiding, about this, some think that it is not very difficult to arouse the absorption of calm abiding. But this is not the case. Because in order to arouse the absorption of calm abiding in the mind stream, a basis is necessary. That basis is a distaste for the 8 worldly concerns and the pleasures of the 5 senses. When this distaste, this dispassion, viraga, in the context of the Shavasti meditation, step 14, when this distaste is present, then the absorption of tranquility, of shamatha, will arise in the mind stream. So often, I have people saying, oh, I have a hard time meditating, or especially I have a hard time visualizing this, that. Yeah, of course, some of us have better skills in one type of practice over another type of practice. That's normal, that's natural. But it's also very important for us to really understand, if we know how to practice, and to really understand, at the end of the day, it's not the technique that we need to spend so much time kind of worrying about, or choosing, or maybe I should do this, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do this. But it's the attitude that has to change. And there is nothing more helpful than to see the faults of the 8 worldly concerns and lay that down. See the unreliability, and therefore the dissatisfaction or the frustration that comes from the unreliability, and the end result of frustration or dissatisfaction that comes from pleasures that are derived from sense experiences, because those pleasures are not stable, but we have become hooked. So the more we see the 8 worldly concerns and how that really exhausts us, pleasures of the senses that are fleeting, unreliable, leads to more frustration, then we just cultivate dispassion. And with that dispassion, then whatever meditation we want to cultivate, whatever state of mind we want to cultivate, virtuous state of mind, it becomes easier and easier. Then whatever technique we use, the technique can deliver. By the way, COVID is negative. Common cold is positive. So this cold has proceeded to the next step, you know. My colds are all very predictable. This next step is the phlegm, you know, and the the yucky part. So good thing we're on Zoom, you know. It's the impermanence of the cold too. You know, it goes through stages. So that's what impermanence means, you know. Next step, next step, next step, next step. And you're like, okay, you know, this is step number 9 in the 16 steps of this cold. But I would like it to be, you know, step 14, where I cultivate dispassion, then cessation will come next, then relinquishment, gone, you know, step 16. This is the insider's joke for those who have been doing the Shravasti meditation class. For those of you who missed the series and would like to, listen to it, the English version is available now, so Javier can share that resource on the Drigong Dhammakirti website. There's video and there's audio. Audio has no pauses. The video has pauses for the translation. So all 6 classes are there. We also have the Spanish translation, I know, available. I don't know where they are, but if somebody knows where they are, that's also available, the Spanish. So at some point we might do a retreat or retreats of this Shravasti meditation, the basic 16 steps. And there are many aspects to Shravasti meditation, by the way, because there are many aspects of it. So what I have covered is just the basic fundamentals. So I think the first time we'll do a retreat in person for that is that retreat that is happening in Costa Rica at the end of February. When that registration opened, I wasn't paying attention and I wasn't expecting this or that response, but apparently it got filled, just like that. So sorry to those of you who weren't able to get on it. And I think there's a number of people on the waiting list. But as, hopefully things improve and we learn how to live with rather than die with COVID, it's best to do, I think, that retreat in person. So whenever things improve, in whatever local area you are in, if you are interested, reach out and we'll see if we have the conditions of, doing it in wherever you are. So now let's read verses 38 from 38. Let's see. Let's just read 38. Relinquishing all other aspirations, focusing myself on one intent alone, I'll strive to still my mind and calming it to bring it to subjection. And 39, in this and in the worlds to come, desires the parent of all woe. In this world, killing bonds and wounds, and in the next, the hells and other pains. So 38 is a reminder that wandering thoughts, a mind that is untrained, a heart that is untrained, and these thoughts are not just thinking, also emotions. That all those needs to be kind of pacified. And all those needs to be calmed down. And in this way, when the mind becomes still, then we are not dragged around by our thoughts, by our feelings, by our emotions. So in this next section, starting on 39 to 70, is some of the most vivid kind of Shantideva. Some people even say, oh, Shantideva attacks the body from 39 to 70. He will talk about the yuckiness of bodies. So there is an immediate context to this, okay? The immediate context to this is, of course, a bunch of young monks that he is addressing, a bunch of young monks with a lot of hormones, jumping up and down, and young monks who, are told, you should, not engage in any sexual activity, stay away from the objects of your lust. So that's the immediate context. And as a result, right, again, he's talking to these young monks. He uses the example of women's bodies. But it's really important for us to read this and understand he's not just talking about women's bodies. If he was speaking to nuns, he would be talking about men's bodies. But overall, right, from 39 to 70, it's to point out how the undesirability of bodies. You can say that the chapter 6, on patience is to primarily counteract anger, hatred. Chapter 6. Chapter 8 primarily to counteract attachment, lust, desire. Chapter 9 primarily ignorance, confusion. Chapter 7, diligence, is that which we need to stay focused on overcoming these three poisons. So anyway, in verse 39, so desire, he says, is the parent of all woes, of all sufferings. So likewise, in the chapter on patience, he said, anger, the opposite of kashanti, is the source of all suffering. And later in chapter 9, he will say ignorance is the source of all suffering. And so we don't need to take so literally every word and, this word means this. Well, what about this? What about that? And that is what the scholastic tradition busy itself doing. But, I say, Shantideva did not teach this text for people to later, scrutinize and, or try to, get every word and make it into a big fancy system, But of course, the energy of the scholastic tradition went into doing things like that. But that's okay, different people have to do different things. For us, I hope, instead of doing that, we take to heart.
40 to 41. You send your go-betweens with boy and maid with many invitations for the prize, avoiding in the quest no sin, no deed that brings an ill renown, nor acts of frightful risk, nor loss and ruin of possessions, all for pleasure and the perfect bliss, the utmost penetrating kiss. So here he's describing, perhaps the way in which these dating occurs in his time. So the boy and maid is kind of like, every kind of young man, might have, probably, again, he's probably talking to, these monks who come from kind of, backgrounds with means, so they have an attendant boy, and you send your boy to go talk to that girl's maid, then they discuss, where to secretly, you two can meet, and so he's describing that, but then in doing all of that, avoiding no sin, you do everything possible so that you can meet. Yeah, so all for the pleasure and the perfect bliss of that kiss, he says. But 42, but of what in truth is nothing but a heap of bones, devoid of self, without autonomy, meaning these bodies are just heaps of bones and no control. Is it so desirable? Like no control, good example here, cold. I cannot say to my body, hey, stop. I have an important date tonight. Can you stop producing phlegm and mucus right now? Just for 6 hours so that, I will look good and not be yucky. Then tomorrow you can come back. No, we cannot do that. No autonomy. Devoid of self means, no one is in charge. No one is in control. No one can be in charge. No one can be in control. And he says, all for that? And he says on 42, is this the only object of your desire and lust? Last line. Last line basically say, oh my gosh, not worth it. And he says, sooner pass beyond all suffering and grief. Uh, 43, 44. Oh. What pains you went to just to lift her face that modestly looked down, which look upon and not before, was always with a veil concealed. So this tells us, in Shantideva's time, women's faces are veiled in India. Then 44, that face for which you languish so. I need to look at the face. I need to see that face. Well, here it is now, nakedly exposed. The vultures have uncovered it for you to see. What's this? You run away so soon? He's talking about, when dead, vultures come packing, tearing off the skin. He said, okay, now look, this is what you have been after. But then now, oh, no. Now you run away. So, as they say, beauty is skin deep, Peel off the skin. Do you still want it? 45, right? That which you once jealously protected, shielded from the eyes of other men. Why, miser that you are, don't you protect it now? Now that it is the food for these graveyard birds. Look, this mass of flesh, of human flesh, is now the fare of carrion beasts. And you would deck with garlands, sandalwood, and jewels the food and provender of others. Now busily putting sandalwood, garlands, jewels, But basically, it's food for maggots. So we might not, expose the bodies and let, beasts eat them. But worms, maggots. As they say, we all taste the same to maggots. "47. Look again, this heap of bones, inert and dead. Why? What are you so scared of? Why did you not fear it when it walked around, just like a risen corpse propelled by some strange influence?" We are all living dead. We are zombies. So he's saying, when we see a dead body that's, maybe a skull, most of us, right, freaked out, run. He said, but meanwhile, we're not afraid of these walking dead, risen corpse walking around. Instead, we chase after them. Of course, when we chase after them, we only chase after those who routinely shower, put deodorant, put jewelry, earring, nose ring, necklaces. Doesn't matter men or women, earring, nose ring, necklaces. Hair comb this way, that way. Basically, it's just saying, we're just like kidding ourselves. So you might think that, oh, here Shantideva is so negative. But hello, again, what is he saying here that is not true? It's a truth that is inconvenient. It's the truth that we rather not entertain. So at the very least, you can say that we have lopsidedly looked in the other direction. Oh, the body is so beautiful. Oh, the bodies are so desirable. Oh, body smells so good, blah, 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 all of that. So at the very least, I can say Shantideva simply is stating the other side that we don't want to look. And also the other side that no one is going to spend money buying ads on Facebook or on your TV telling you. There's no company advertising, the bare facts about this body. In fact, all the companies are telling you how you can hide away the inconvenient truth. Take this pill, put this cream, shave this way, wash that way. And this inconvenient truth that Shantideva is discussing here, you can put it out of your mind. And 48, you loved it once when cloth and draped it was. Well, now it's naked. Why do you not want it? As in dead, corpse, naked. Why do you not want it? You say, your need is no more there. I don't. It's okay now. It says, but why did you embrace it when it's all bedecked and covered with nice things? Isn't the naked body really what you want? But now it's like, oh, no, actually no. '49th is just brilliant. verse 49, it says, at least in the English, it says, from food, a single source, come equally the body's filth and nectar of the mouth. It's talking about kissing. So why are you so delighted by saliva and yet repelled by excrement? I'm just going to leave you with your imagination, but don't go too far. But this is a really good one, 49, you know. And then 50, taking no delight in pillows made of cotton soft to touch. Instead, basically it says instead, you lust after someone else's body. You claim the human form emits no stench. Be fooled by lust. It's filth you do not recognize. That's 50. Then 51, he says, lustful one, befouled by desire, because you cannot copulate with it, you angrily find fault with cotton, soft though it may be to touch. It's like no matter how soft your cotton, your silk, you're not enough, you say, Instead, you want to chase after something else. 52. And if you have no love of filth, how can you coddle on your lap a cage of bones tied fast with sinews, plastered over with the mud of flesh? Basically what this body is. And 53, in fact, you are full of filth yourself, you wallow in it constantly. It is indeed just filth that you desire, and therefore long for other sex of it. And so there's lots of, money being exchanged to only give you the side that we are attached to. Oh, the body is this, that, how nice, la, 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 all of that, No one is spending any money putting up big billboards, saying, it's a skin bag with holes. It's a skin bag with holes, and out of these holes, stuff are always coming out. And then most of us, from one perspective, our autobiography in a few lines is waste management. Not even few lines, just one description, My one single job in this lifetime is waste management. Everything else is just in between, Because from the 9 holes, stuff are oozing out. So our autobiography of one lifetime is, I specialize in waste management. Some of us are better at that than others, actually. We start our lives not knowing how to manage waste and other people worrying about managing our waste. We end our lives in the same way, in between just training in waste management. Yeah, so this is up to 53. Yeah, let's take a break now. We'll come back.
Wage joare mum, 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 wage joare wage joare mum, 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 wage joare wage joare mum, 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 wage joare wage joare mum, 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 wage joare 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 wage jware mum, 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 wage jware mum.
'54 and '55. Let's let's see. There's a question, yes? I see that shamatha and vipassana are interwoven. However, did I understand right that the chapters from 6 to 8 are more to cultivate and develop shamatha as a basis to develop vipassana, more linked to chapter 9? Yes, you can look at it that way. In fact, it is said that the first 5 paramitas pertain more to cultivating merit, and then the 6th paramita cultivating wisdom, the 2 accumulations. That's more commonly how the 6 paramitas are divided. The first 5 is to accumulate the accumulation of merit, and the 6th is the accumulation of wisdom. When both accumulations are perfected, then Buddhahood is achieved. And so, yes, you can look at it from the perspective of shamatha and vipassana. Even if both of those qualities are cultivated hand in hand, you can think of the contents of chapter 6, 7, and 8 as ways of increasing the stability of mind, shamatha, and chapter 9 as increasing insight or special insight or clear seeing. Yeah, so you can look at it that way, sure. 54 and 55, but it is skin and flesh that I love. This is in response to like, how about cotton? How about cushions? And it says, but it's skin and flesh that I love to touch and look upon. And then Shantideva says, then why do you not wish for flesh alone, inanimate and in its natural state? Just flesh, The mind that you perhaps desire. Now, so 54, let's do just 54. So it says, if skin and flesh is what you want, what about the skin and flesh when it is like cut off, put on a platter? Do you still desire it in the same way? Apparently, in the Buddha's time, there was a disciple, a nun, a very advanced practitioner. And there was a young man that saw her, and started to basically pursue her, but we would call stalking her. Until finally one day, she stopped and she said, why, what do you want? He said, well, I want you, why do you need to be a nun? You can stop being a nun. We can be together, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, what do you like so much about her? He said, oh, you're so beautiful, like back in the day when people can only think of women as beautiful and nothing else. And, you're so beautiful. And then she said, what about me is so beautiful? He said, no, just you're so beautiful, I just cannot stop thinking of you, da, da, da. And she said, tell me one thing that you think is so beautiful. It's like, your eyes are so beautiful, it's amazing. And she said, okay, really? And she plucked out her eye. And she said, here, still beautiful? Of course, he freaked out, ran away, never came back. So here, Shantideva says, really? Now 55 is the ones who are more sophisticated. The ones who don't just think of, I like you because you're beautiful. So it says, the mind that you perhaps desire. So then the more refined might say, oh, but no, I love you for your mind, I love her for her mind. I love him for his mind, his thoughts. Then Shantideva says, then why do you also want the body that you copulate with? In any case, what you love is the mind, is not the body. Why do you need the body? It's like, oh, no. So both, he's showing, you want the body, so here is the bare facts of the body. You like the mind? Here is the mind. What has that got to do with the body? So here, Shantideva is coming at this from all directions. Left, right, up, down, So 56, 57, he says, to fail to grasp the unclean nature of another's flesh is perhaps not so strange. But not to see the filthy nature of yourself is very strange indeed. Then he says, why does the mind intent on filthiness neglect the fresh young lotus blossom in the pond open in the sunlight of a cloudless sky, to take joy in that, instead to desire after sex or filth of dirt. In fact, someone should probably tell Shantideva, samsara is so upside down and confused. In fact, there are people who say, I actually like all that stinky smell. Your stinky body odor is Can't sleep without that smell. Again, for me, Shantideva here is showing how we have habitually only considered one side and completely ignored the other side. Now, especially 58, right? And since you're disinclined to touch a place or an object grimed with excrement, why do you wish to touch the body when so much excrement has come out of? You see even one speck of excrement on an object or on someone, even the someone that you desire so much. Let's say you kind of see, hey, wait, what is that? And then you're like, let me get closer. Get closer and get closer. And you see that it's one dot. Ah! It's like, go, shower. Maybe they come back out in 5 minutes. Like, no, not enough. Shower longer. That's how we are, One speck. We have completely. But meanwhile, right, when attachment, when desire comes up, we tune all that out. Oh, wow. Shantideva is saying, come on, what is this? Do you really see clearly this object of desire? So we'll read 59 to 61. And if you have no craving for impurity, why will you now embrace and kiss what comes from such an unclean place, engendered likewise from an unclean seed? The tiny fetid worms that come from filth, you have no love of them, and yet you are lusting for a human form from filth arisen and replete with it. Toward your own impurity, disgust you do not feel, and yearning and a thirst for filth, you long for other sex of it. Yeah, same point being made. This shows you, he can tell, right? These young monks in front of him, like, but, and he keeps going. Yeah, but he keeps going. Yeah. Elsewhere, like chapter 2, when Shantideva talks about the bodies of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, same human body, there he praises that. Why? Because those are not objects of attachment and desire. So it's not the body per se, like, I'm trying to remind us. It's not the body per se. He's not saying that you should develop hate for your body. This is very easy to misapply this section. He's not teaching you to hate your body. To me, he's bringing perspective to what we habitually hide away, ignore, and exaggerate the other side. In fact, in the life of the Buddha, so one of the meditation techniques, approach that the Buddha did recommend is for those monks who can't, who understandably, will from time to time, desire becomes very strong. In some ways, you can say it's biological. Desire and lust becomes very strong. And so he has recommended to them to meditate on the undesirability of the body. And so there are meditations on like the decaying of the body. And during the Buddha's time, it's not that hard to go find a decaying, bloated body with worms, all that. You can go meditate. So that's the meditation on seeing clearly the nature of this body. And so there was one incident where a group of monks actually did that, but then it went wrong, meaning that they were so disgusted with the body that they committed suicide, this group of monks. Yeah, so the misunderstanding of this material is not unheard of, and it's not just a modern problem. Even the Buddha's own time has said that these monks did that. And so when this was brought to the Buddha's attention, then the Buddha actually, in this context, the Buddha actually said, before monks should do those type of meditation, or rather not before, but that kind of meditation should be kind of balanced off with the 16 steps, anapanasati. The 16 steps, for those of you who have followed the series, you can see how actually in those 16 steps, the negative, what we would consider as the negative side of things, are not directly focused on. It's more using the neutral and also the pleasurable, like joy, happiness, gladdening of mind. But it's using those to see into the nature of experience. So the 16 steps actually avoid using overtly negative mind states, experiences. 62. He says pleasant substances like camphor, rice, and fresh green herbs. These are all good things, he says, but when you put it in someone's mouth, in your own mouth, and you spit them out and it falls into the ground, that ground, and especially in his context in Indian society, that ground is now unclean. And he said, but yet, in a different context, that which is so unclean, we desire. (63) If still you doubt such filthiness, though it is very plain for all to see, go off into the charnel grounds, observe the fetid bodies there abandoned. When their skins are peeled away, you feel great horror and revulsion. For that now that you have understood, how can you still take joy in such a thing? So this is part of that kind of meditation on the decaying nature of the body. (65 to 67), perfume sellers and deodorant sellers will not like this. It's the anti-ad, Again, no one's putting up big billboards, to advertise 65 to 67. See, Shantideva is not against perfumes. Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, in the context of taking Bodhichitta vows, making offerings of perfume, sandalwood powder, heaped high as Mount Meru. And the offering of garlands, silken robes. It's not these things themselves. But when these nice things, we could say, is part of what we use to cover up the reality, then they become a problem. Burning sandalwood incense and enjoying it, burning sandalwood incense is not a problem. But it quickly becomes a problem when we become attached to wanting only sandalwood scent and don't want cat poop. 65. The scent that now perfumes the skin is sandalwood and nothing else. It's your deodorant and nothing else. It's your soap and nothing else. Yet how is it that one thing's fragrance causes you to long for something else? You smell sandalwood on someone. Ooh. You're not really after the sandalwood, he says. Mysteriously, now you desire that person. Is it not best to not have lust for something that by nature stinks? The body, with its odors. The worldly crave beside their purpose. Why do they anoint their flesh with pleasant scents? For if this scent is sandalwood, how can it be the perfume of the body? How is it that the fragrance of a thing, one thing, induces you to crave for something else? Very strange. Yeah, so when we say, oh, you smell good, or he smells good, or she smells good, or I smell good, really, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the soap smells good. The perfume smells good. The deodorant smells good. But somehow when perfume hits the skin, then that skin becomes desirable. Very mysterious. And somehow when you go to a perfume store, or when you walk by a perfume store, you smell that. Most of us are not thinking about, oh, the perfume smells so good. We immediately think, oh, it smells so good on this person or that person. And conversely, if this perfume is put on someone you absolutely hate, it will not smell good. "68. With lanky hair, with long nails overgrown, with dirty teeth all reeking with the stink of slime, the body, naked as it is, untended, is indeed a horror to behold." So, if there was no proper waste management, natural, will you still desire it? So like, even Tarzan, and Jane, right? Probably only attractive from far away. When you get too close, first the smell probably. Then after that, it's like, oh, look at the bushy nose hair. Oh, those armpits need serious work. "69. Why go to such access to clean and polish what is but a weapon that will injure you? The cares that people squander on themselves in ignorance convulse the universe with madness." Our bodies become weapons. When you saw the heaps of human bones, you felt revulsion in the charnel ground. And will you now take delight in cities of the dead, frequented by such skeletons that live and move? We are all just zombies. Shantideva was the original zombie movie. This section. We won't go to more verses, so let's see if anyone has any questions, comments, observations to share.
Well, I have an observation that I think that all of these cleaning habits have been acquired by culture, because maybe like 10,000 years ago, soap wasn't there. Like, so you basically didn't take a bath so often, and you didn't wash your hair.
Yes, yes.
Things that we do.
Yes.
So, back then, it wasn't like a thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah. So the point is, again, he's not attacking taking baths. He's not attacking perfumes. He's not attacking sandalwood. He's raising a big question mark. Why are we so obsessed with bodies? Desiring bodies. So if Shantideva was writing for cavemen, you think cavemen don't have attachment to bodies? Oh, they do. Different way. So Shantideva will use different ways to point out how you cover up the reality.
Yeah, and well, we are in the realm of desire, so I think that we're born here in this realm, then we have we are exposed to this kind of desire, and that comes from our habituations.
Yes.
Previous lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now we need to be free of it, right? That's the whole point. the whole point of the Buddha Dharma, how to be free. Yeah, go ahead and translate it. And the gods of the higher, the gods of the desire realm, their sense of good smell is even more refined. And then in that sense, even more deeper. It's said that these gods, they find us to stink. No amount of us putting perfume on our bodies. They can smell through that. So then they don't come near us, they say in the text. So the gods find us to be a stinking bunch, right? Now, this doesn't mean that the gods are more free. No. They are stuck on another deeper layer of attachment. What is the deeper layer of attachment of the gods? Good smells. Good smells that you and I cannot even imagine. Still attachment. Then gods in the realm of forms, in the realm of pure forms, they don't even have the normal sense experiences that the sense in the sensual realm has. And then those gods, they are attached to pure forms. Then the gods of the formless realms, they are attached to very refined states of mind. All are attachment, not free. So if Shantideva was talking to them, he will be attacking their attachment using different reasonings. He is talking to us. So the answer is not, but I actually like the stinky body odor. I love bushy nostrils. that doesn't solve your problem. Yeah, of course, Shantideva's words are time and cultural specific, but there are enough continuities for you and me right now. So, rather than thinking in the abstract, don't need to think, what about cavemen? Think about you right now. This is how Kagyupa tradition, we say, it's from experience. The early Kagyupas, now Kagyupas, I don't know what they do. The early Kagyupas don't like to talk in the abstract, don't like to get into a lot of theory, and say, look at your experience. Then again, the underlying point here is, what are the obstacles to the development of Samadhi? And he's dispelling obstacles with all these words. So Shantideva, okay, is not an antibody. Antibody. It's not an antibody or anti-soap or anti-trimming your nose hair or anti, combing your hair. He's not promoting an anti, body cult. He's helping us to pacify distractions. And then in the second half of this text, it's like, so instead of spending your energy on these distractions, let us now turn our minds to what is truly fruitful, what will deliver what we deeply want. And that can only come from actualizing bodhicitta. And when that is there, right, then, oh yes, the soap comes back in, the perfume comes back in, the garlands come back in, the silks come back in. Because now it's truly for the benefit of beings. And maybe not the silks, you know, poor silkworms. Okay. Changchu semchu rinpoche ma ge banam ge gyuche ge ba nyam pa me pa ya go ne gong du bell worship. Okay, good night, good day, have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Cheers.